For decades, we've all looked at Mars as our plan B, the next great adventure for humanity. We've come up with brilliant solutions for the thin air, the freezing cold, and even the deadly radiation. But there's one thing out there on the red planet that we haven't solved. A force of nature so powerful, it brought one of our toughest explorers to a quiet, heartbreaking end. So, what is this one threat that has even NASA worried? The one puzzle our best and brightest haven't been able to crack? To really get the weight of this problem, we first have to understand why we're so obsessed with getting to Mars in the first place. I mean, it's a fair question, right? Why risk it all to travel 210 million kilometers to a seemingly barren world? Well, the answer is getting more and more urgent with every passing year. When you really look at the challenges we're facing here at home, it's a lot. We're talking about our natural resources getting stretched thin and a very real freshwater crisis on the horizon as glaciers melt. But it's bigger than that. Think about the existential stuff. A single massive event, another pandemic, a global conflict, or a big asteroid like the one that got the dinosaurs could be game over. So for many scientists, getting to Mars isn't just about exploration. It's the ultimate insurance policy for the human species. Okay, so why Mars? Of all the places in our solar system, what's so special about this cold red dot? Well, as it turns out, it's a lot more familiar than you might think. Just take a look at this. It's kind of wild. A day on Mars, they call it a sol, is only about 36 minutes longer than our day. It has seasons, just like we do, they just last a bit longer. And the geology, it's like a cosmic mirror. Mars has polar ice caps, mountains, huge valleys, and even volcanoes, including the biggest one in the whole solar system. We're also pretty sure it used to have rivers and maybe even oceans. All these similarities make it the most logical place for us to set up a new home. But of course, similar doesn't mean move-in ready, not by a long shot. Mars presents a whole list of deadly problems, but for pretty much every single one, we've got a clever fix. Okay, first things first. You can't breathe the air. It's almost pure carbon dioxide, poison to us, with just a tiny, tiny fraction of oxygen. So, what do? This is where the genius comes in. You take the problem and you turn it into the solution. NASA's MOXIE project is absolutely brilliant. It basically acts like a mechanical tree. It sucks in that toxic Martian air, heats it up, zaps it with electricity, and literally rips the oxygen atoms right off the carbon dioxide molecules. We can literally make our own air from the atmosphere that's already there. All right, so we can breathe. Awesome. Next problem, it is unbelievably cold. Even on a good day, the temperature can dip below freezing. At night, it gets downright dangerous. How do we survive that? We build smart. We've already designed these advanced pressurized habitats. The plan is to build bases underground, using the Martian dirt itself as natural insulation. We could even set up shop in some of the natural caves that are already there. And of course, if you step outside, you'll be in a heavy-duty, heated suit. Problem solved. And then there's the invisible killer. Here on Earth, we've got this magnetic field that acts like a shield, protecting us from the sun's nasty radiation. Mars doesn't have one. Without that protection, anyone living there would be exposed to a huge risk of cancer and radiation sickness. But the solution here is beautifully simple. We use the planet to protect us from the sky. By building our homes underground, or just piling up Martian rocks and soil to make bunkers, we create a natural shield that blocks all that deadly radiation. So for air, cold, and radiation, the big three, we've got a plan. We've got it all figured out. Almost. Because despite all this incredible science, all this amazing problem solving, there is one Martian phenomenon that just hangs over every single one of our plans. It's something we can't control, something we can't stop, and something we can't fully predict. A force of nature that can swallow the entire world in just a few days. I'm talking about Martian dust storms. And I need you to forget everything you think you know about a dust storm on Earth. These are a completely different beast. They operate on a scale that is hard to even imagine. So here's what happens. Because the Martian atmosphere is so thin, you get these absolutely massive temperature swings. This, along with frozen carbon dioxide, basically dry ice, turning straight into gas, creates these incredibly powerful winds. They kick up all this superfine dust, and because the gravity is weaker on Mars, the dust just hangs there for weeks, sometimes for months. And these aren't local storms. They can grow to cover the entire planet, plunging it into a dusty twilight.
Now, you've probably seen movies where astronauts get blown away by these crazy Martian winds. That's actually a myth. Even a 160 km/h wind on Mars would barely have any force because the air is just so thin. It would feel more like a gentle breeze than a hurricane. So the wind itself isn't the real threat.
No, the real danger is something much more subtle. It's the darkness. That thick cloud of dust in the atmosphere blocks out the sun. And this is our Achilles heel. Why? Because nearly every single piece of technology we're planning to use to survive, the Moxie machine making oxygen, the heaters for the habitats, everything is designed to run on solar power. If there's no sunlight for months on end, everything just stops. And this isn't just a theory. We know exactly how devastating this darkness can be because we've already lost someone to it, a brave little explorer whose story perfectly captures this one great fear.
Back in 2004, the Opportunity rover landed on Mars. The original plan was for a 90-day mission, but this little rover was a champion. It just kept going and going, exploring the red planet for an incredible 15 years. It was a true legend of engineering. But then, in 2018, it drove right into one of those planet-covering dust storms.
The storm was so thick that it blocked out 96% of the sunlight reaching the surface. 96%. Opportunity's solar panels were completely starved for energy. Its batteries couldn't recharge. After 15 years of hard work, the little rover put itself into a deep sleep, trying to save power, just waiting for the storm to pass. For months, NASA tried to make contact, sending signal after signal, just listening for a reply that never came. Finally, nearly a year later, one last, faint piece of data came through. It was an automated status report, translated by the system, and what it said was simply heartbreaking. My battery is low and it's getting dark. Those words are such a chilling reminder of the ultimate challenge. It wasn't the wind or the cold or the radiation that ended Opportunity's mission. It was the darkness. And as we plan to send humans there, that's the one final haunting question we have to answer. If we can't solve the problem of the darkness, how will we ever survive when that long night falls on Mars?